Order of the Dead, or 3 members of Order of the Dead.
Yes.
Here for a YouTube interview. We already did an interview with them tonight on the Metallic Onslaught, but this is one for our YouTube page.
Cool.
So why don't you introduce yourself and what you do in the band?
I'm Bill Lander, the screamer, crooner, lyricist.
Sorry. Jody, guitar.
Matt, guitar.
So, how long have you guys been around as a band?
It's been, we started out, our first incarnation, which had me, Jay, and Matt. Only Jay was on guitar then. This was 3 years ago, in May of 08. And we had a different bass player at the time and a different drummer. And then we got, well, I hate to say get rid of, but bass player left, and then Toby, our current bass player, came into the picture at that time. And then didn't work out with the drummer, so we eventually got Jay to play drums because he's a very good drummer as well as a guitar player. And then Jody came along about 1.5 years ago. So about 1.5 years for this current incarnation of the band, and we hope it stays this way, man, because we really like what we got going on here.
Yeah, you guys seem to have a lot of up-and-coming shows and
Yeah.
getting on a lot of pretty good profile bills. And
Yep.
Yeah, don't know how that happened.
Well, you know, been
No complaints.
playing out for a little bit now, and yeah, we're starting to get some pretty good shows, man. I think the metal scene in this general area is really picking up, man.
yeah, it's starting to pick up again because it hasn't been the same in quite a few years.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there's really there's some really quality bands coming around right now, and that's sort of rare when you've got a scene that's so close together that there's so many good bands. Usually there's like 1 or 2 bands that are halfway decent or good, and then a bunch of, and it's not that way. All these bands have their own sound, like Psychopath and Malformed and Sarkis and you know, just to name a few, man.
Cosmic Sea.
Yep.
Yeah, we were actually talking about the same stuff with Demoness last week for Metal Fest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool that there's much of a diversity, and that there's a good crowd of people that are into it too. I think metal's definitely, you know, it'll never be mainstream, and thank God, because we don't want it that way.
Yeah,
you know?
it's not meant for that.
Yeah, because when it was briefly, it got turned into a circus, you know. And,
Yep.
And we don't do this because we do this because it's in our blood, man. It's what we don't do it for checks or money or anything like that. It's having fun, you know.
I do it to get more T-shirts to wear inside out, personally. And I really need some socks. So at some point I can pick
Metal
back
for
socks.
Hey, we got Metallic Onslaught shirts if you guys want to buy some.
Yeah. If you got socks, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm sure that
That'll be the
that
next
could
time.
that could very likely be arranged.
We can make them into socks.
Yeah, I can turn the sleeves into socks.
If you guys, I know you guys are getting a lot of like shows with national bands, but if you could tour with any one band, who would it be?
Ooh, wow. I don't know. Who do you think?
That's band.
Karate. Does that count?
I believe Mr. Miyagi had passed on.
Man, I
I'll
mean,
whip my
that's
hair back and forth right now. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, I'd love to tour with Cannibal Corpse because we're good. I'm good friends with them, and they're real good guys. And
Jack Owen wears Killer Down shirts.
Yeah, they're fun to be around. Well, Jack's
Well, he's in DSI now.
Right. We'd have to get Jack in the band to do that, though. Then they have 3 guitar players because, you know, Rob and Pat are pretty sick, too.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I would love to tour with them only because I know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It sure helps to be friends with some of the bands you're touring with, because it can be rough if you don't know each other, and you can, unfortunately, touring can make friends or enemies real quick. You know, it's a rough life out there.
Yeah, you were actually on the History of Cannibal Corpse DVD that came out a couple of years ago.
Yes, yep.
I know you talked about that on the air, but why don't you explain that again a little bit?
Just real quick, I go back with them a long ways. I've known those guys for, you know, over 20 years. And just I toured with them as a drum roadie on the, gotta say it 3 times, Tomb of the Mutilated, Tomb of the Mutilated, Tomb of the Mutilated tour. And I was their drum roadie / RV bus driver and all around goofball. And it was a good time, man. It was a great time and one of the best times of my life. You know, toured all over the place and had fun. Watched those guys get huge at the time, you know, and things were looking good at that time. That was some fun times. And we lived together in Tampa. We all lived near each other and hung out, and you know.
So, a little out of the spectrum of Order of the Dead. Who's the better vocalist for that band, Corpse Grinder or Barnes?
Oh, without a doubt, Corpse Grinder, to me, you know. I mean, I love Tomb of the Mutilated, Tomb of the Mutilated, Tomb of the Mutilated.
That was the album that turned me on to that.
Me too. I mean, I loved them before that, but that's the album that really, it's like a freaking steamroller coming at you.
I remember one of the issues of Hit Parader I had.
Yep.
Before I had actually heard the band, there was a thing in the back of the Hit Parader where they had lyrics to songs. I was reading the lyrics, and I was laughing my ass off the whole time because I'm like, oh my God, these lyrics are hideous, but I love it.
Yeah, Chris writes some sick lyrics, man. Definitely back then he wrote some totally sick lyrics.
That's why I was into Skull Full of Maggots.
Yeah, that's a great song too. I still play that to this day. You know, and yeah, I mean, no offense to Chris, but Corpse Grinder is just amazing. He's an amazing individual. He's just, he is the true metal master. That dude he knows his metal. He totally knows his metal. He's a good dude. You can drink some beer too.
What's some of your favorite venues to play? You got any ones that are better than others, or?
As far as Rochester goes, I love all the places we play for different reasons. The Montage is cool because you always have a different crowd there. There's a bigger, more diverse crowd there. And I gotta say, Oz, man, that dude, him and Rob have really helped this metal scene so much. You know, and Randy for putting us on the shows that he has. So I love that place for that aspect. And then the Bug Jar is great because you just, you know, we've been playing there forever, and that's a good venue.
That's where the dirty people go.
Yeah, the dirty people go, and Monroe Ave crowd, we love it, man. That's a good time. And then Monty's Crown is great because it's a tiny little venue and it's in your face. And I like that, you know.
Speaking of the Montage,
Yep.
you guys played the 3-day Metal Fest that they had there recently.
Yep.
How did that go?
That was awesome.
Was there a decent turnout for all 3 days?
Yeah, definitely. It started out a little slow the first day, and then it picked up pretty good towards the end. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was well over 100 and something people. It was like 150, 170.
200 paid the first day.
Was it? All right.
First day was
It was a really good crowd considering the weather was bad. You know, there was a couple of bands that had to drop off and stuff, but it was really killer. Revocation's an amazing band. You know,
You're getting to play with them again.
Yeah,
With Forbidden.
they're awesome. And but all 3 days overall, it was a success. I mean, I want to say they averaged around 150 each day, and that's pretty amazing when, you know, the majority of the bands were local bands, and that you could get 3 days in a row that many people there. For, you know, Rochester's not a big city, man. It's a smaller city, and to be able to do that and
yeah, and at the first shot of trying it.
yeah, for the first one, hopefully next year there'll be 300 people there every day, you know, or more.
When can we expect this album to actually be done and out? Is there any?
Well, we don't have a
date?
specific date, but you know, we're shooting for. I'd love to say July, August. I don't know, man. It's hard to say because we have a couple things we need to iron out as far as like artwork and you know, an inlay and stuff like that, and we put the finishing touches on the mix, and I'm pretty sure it's a go as far as that goes. So the sonic part of it's done, and we just need to figure out the other aspect of it.
Way to package it up.
Package it, yeah, and we want to shop it too. Is like you know, we would like to be able to get a record deal, so maybe we could get some kind of tour support. You know, it's really hard, especially with the price of gas nowadays. Just hit the road on your own anymore. I know a lot of labels aren't really doing things like they used to because of the advent of the internet. But heavy metal is one form of music where you can still kind of, you know, make enough money to keep things going. So hopefully we'll do that. If not, we'll put it out on our own.
One thing I've noticed with
by next summer, that's what
one thing I've noticed with metal music, even if something is downloaded, the majority of the time, a person who digs metal a lot even though they download it, will still go out and buy it.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
or they'll
my,
come to your show and buy your T-shirt. Or
Yeah.
they'll show you
Support
some
the
kind of
song.
support.
Right.
You know, and if they download it, they'll still, like you say, a lot of them. I know I do it.
I do
I'll
it too.
buy it.
I mean, maybe
you know,
it's because I'm
or I'll
older
go
or
to
whatever.
their show
but
and buy their shit. So
I like to have the product in my hand, and I think a lot of people, metal people, still
Mm-hmm.
think that way.
I like
Oh yeah, I'm like that totally.
I like the fact that vinyl is coming back with
me
kind
too.
Yeah.
of a vengeance, you know, because there's a lot of stuff I just have for like collection value.
Yep.
There was the Slayer box set that came out in October,
Yep.
and you know that I have a couple of the Dimmu records and like one of the Testaments, and you know it's just great because I love to see the artwork in like a giant
Right.
form, you know.
And that's what I grew up on was vinyl, you know.
Yeah.
And it's good that it's coming back in a way because we kind of missed that. Things kept getting smaller and smaller. You know, we
Yeah,
had cassettes
hardwood
for a little
became
while, and
less
you'd
and
open it
less.
up and be like, how am I going to read this?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But somehow I still did. And that's the one thing about today, and I'm guilty of it too, man. I tend to not read lyrics as much as I used to. When you had vinyl, you had the lyrics were giant, this big, nice, you know.
Oh yeah, you'd have the record on, be sitting on your bed with the reading the liner
Yeah.
notes and the lyrics and.
With your funny cigarette and your fan in the window, your tube with the
Exactly.
Yeah,
air
man.
freshener in it. What?
So.
Is there any possible like music video or anything like that in the future, or is
Actually, one is being worked on.
Yeah. We just saw it yesterday, actually.
Yeah, we just saw the initial
The beginnings of
rough
it.
version of it.
so? Is it who directed it, or is it just something you guys did yourself?
This guy's name's Rob Taquino.
Yep.
I don't know how to say it.
I think it's
Yeah.
Taquino.
Yeah, and he's actually videotaped a
And
bunch of
he's-
stuff.
Yeah, he shows
Ghost
up to
Wolf
the
Productions. Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost.
Now that's not the
Ghost
same
Wheel.
guy who
Or Ghost
did
Wheel, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Is that the same guy who did the recent Sulaco video that came out?
No,
No.
that's another guy.
Greg Herman.
Yeah.
He actually.
He used to play drums in Psyopus, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
and then he was in Calabas with me playing guitar before Psyopus, and now he does television commercials, I believe.
Ah.
I gotta say real quick, I said Ghost Wolf because I have a wolf idea for the video, so it's on my brain. I'm sorry, Rob.
Ghost
Um,
Wheel.
Yeah.
I know you guys seem to come from the old school, as do we. What other bands have you been in? I know you just mentioned Calabas, but what other bands were you in before Order of the Dead started?
Right before Order of the Dead, I was in Calabas and it broke up, and then we got back together, and that's what I was doing right before Order of the Dead. I was in Brutal Truth for about a year. As World Burns, Killed a Client from Dallas, Texas. The hell else was I in? Salt the Surf,
Skodag.
Skodag. I don't know, I know there's more. Infernal Messiah with Tom from Prophecy. From, I think they were from Houston. Prophecy was anyway. I know there's more. I don't know. A whole ton of man.
For me, actually, this is my first metal band that's really gotten anywhere that I've ever been in. Various other bands. I've always been into other styles of music also. So I was in quite a few blues bands several years ago, and totally got away from blues and 100% metal for several years now. So
It's cool. The blues are alright though.
yeah, blues got me going. You
Yeah.
know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, that kind of stuff.
And then I was in
Change gears.
Swollen in Tampa with Richard Brunell, the old guitar player from Morbid Angel, that was on the first two records. And we morphed into Passive Possession, which obviously you've probably heard of. It was on Metal Blade that George Corpse Grinder from Cannibal, he took over on my spot because I ended up moving back up here. And I was still supposed to be in the band, but there was scheduling issues. So Randy, the bass player, Randy Buttman, Buttman, he's a good dude. He asked George to do it, and George was like, "Sure, why not? Of course." George is a metalhead, man. He'll do anything. But
so were you actually
so-
on one of those records, or?
I wasn't on there, no, unfortunately, but I wrote a couple of those tunes on the first album. I helped write a couple of the lyrics, and then there's a couple parts where I helped arrange. And Richard wasn't on there either, unfortunately, but he helped write a lot of that stuff too. In fact, him and I wrote a lot of that stuff in the early '90s when I first moved to Tampa. And then I was in Bitch in the Well. Well, actually, we started out as Samara, and then found out there's like, I don't know, it was like 5 other Samaras out there. And then we became Bitch in the Well, and then that broke up, and then now this band.
You see, we got on this earlier, Bitch in the Well. All I could picture is Lassie at the bottom and Timmy running to get help, instead of the other way around.
Well, the funny thing is, Samara, okay, this is how Bitch in the Well came about. Samara was the girl from The Ring.
Mm-hmm.
She was in The Well.
Okay.
Yep.
And when we were trying to come up with a name, somehow Bitch in the Well came up, and it was like that and 2 other names that we had, and that was the best one. So we stuck with Bitch in the Well. And yeah, everybody...
It's got a nice ring to it.
One knew about The Ring. No one saw The Ring thing, even though we were called Samara beforehand. It became the, what do you call it? The, Jesus. That movie that you were talking about, the girl was in the well.
The Ring.
No, and before, the serial killer movie. I can't think of the name.
Oh.
Wasn't it like Silence of the Lambs? Or
Yeah.
something?
Silence.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
everybody thought it was
It
that.
puts the lotion on the, yep,
And
okay.
now one dude asked me once, "Are you talking about the little girl that was in the well in Texas?" do you remember that?
Yeah.
Baby Jessica, yes.
She's like
Yes.
20 years old
Yeah,
now
yeah.
or something.
But I was like, "Come on, dude. Why would I call her the bitch in the well?" And he's like, "I don't know. It's metal. You're supposed to be brutal and call chicks bitches." I'm like, "Come on."
Like, yeah, well, that's more of a rap
Somebody
thing,
say
really,
that,
when you
say
get...
that to you at Tommy's, because that sounds like something that would have happened.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't know. It was just I laughed. I just laughed so hard when the dude asked me that. But that that was a good band. That was with Adam from who was the bass player from Lethargy, and he also played in Withered Earth for a little bit. He toured with him and stuff.
Oh yeah, I was in Withered.
And he was in Withered Earth too. We're all band whores in Rochester.
Angel, I know.
I have seen Withered Earth, yeah,
Wasn't
okay.
Tim Young and Angel for a little bit?
Yep.
That's when I was in it.
And
I left before he did.
let's see, I actually knew their singer, but I didn't really get along.
Juan.
Yep.
That's
I
the
didn't-
kid that one benefit show that I brought up.
Yeah, I actually know
It's
him.
for-
That is too bad. I don't really get along with him, but
Still a bad thing to
Yeah.
have happen.
Yeah.
Toby, our bass player, was also in Withered Earth for many years too.
Everyone in Rochester was in Withered Earth at one point or another.
Except Jay, our drummer.
Except for Jay. And everyone in Syracuse was in Violent Fury. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, actually-
same thing.
a band that I used to manage, there was a guy by the name of John that was a drummer that played in Violent Fury.
Right?
And then there was like, he ended up playing in another black metal band, but I can't remember what their name was. Because he actually left Blood Rain to go back to the black metal band.
I wonder if that's that dude that was playing drums for Infernal Thorn the other day. Cause
Yeah.
the kid,
John
Yeah.
Coulter.
yeah.
Yep.
We just played with them at Badlands, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. No, last week. A week
Was
ago
it last
tonight.
week?
Yeah.
It was.
Time
Yeah.
flies.
So you got about,
We actually call them the Mammoth.
we got about 2.5 minutes of recording time here,
All
so...
right, well,
Ooh.
well,
Oh, I want to say real quick, a friend of ours, John Malone, filled in for a few shows for Toby because Toby couldn't do some shows with us, and we had booked him, and we didn't want to cancel. So I just want to say thanks to him real quick. He hooked us up really good.
Cool.
Killer bass player, killer kid. If anyone's looking for a bassist, man, he's it. So
very cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out,
thank you for having us.
and you're welcome back anytime, man.
Awesome, great.
Yeah, we would love to go.
Metal.
Good deal.
Keep raising the metal, kids.
As long as we can talk
Hells yes.
nonsense, we'll be good.
Awesome.